لا للبسات الراجل ودبر وطني وتقول لا لزول مادة يقدم شعب. أبقى الراجل ودبر وطني وتقول لا للبسات. أبقى الراجل ودبر وطني وتقول لا لزول مادة يقدم شعب. لا لو يهود بيشيل الفطور بيشيل غدا ويشيل أجام. أبقى راجل وتقول لا وتقول جان. لا لو يهود بيشيل الفطور ويشيل غدا ويشيل أجام. أبقى راجل وتقول لا وتقول جان. وتقول لا للبسات. أبقى راجل ودبر وطني وتقول لا لزول مادة يقدم شعب. أبقى راجل ودبر وطني وتقول لا للبسات. أبقى راجل ودبر وطني وتقول لا لزول مادة يقدم شعب. لا لو يهود بيشيل فطور بيشيل غدا ويشيل أجام. أبقى راجل وتقول لا وتقول جان. لا لو يهود بيشيل فطور ويشيل غدا ويشيل أجام. أبقى راجل وتقول لا وتقول جان. تلقي قوالي باليلوين أسبيل لما جن زمن قيمتك مشكور كمومي طايقة ملكا ويد جورنا جلقام قوالي باليلوين أسبيل لما جن زمن قيمتك مشكور كمومي طايقة ملكا ويد جورنا جلقام قوالي باليلوين أسبيل لما جن زمن قيمتك مشكور كمومي طايقة ملكا ويد جورنا. بابا أفريكا بالدي ولا جلوم الغديان. بابا أفريكا بالدي ولا جلوم الغديان. إذا البلا ما هو جلون ونمو يدكاي.
أهلا أستاذ أبوك، أهلا بك. Good to see you.
إذا البلا ما هو جلون ونمو يدكاي كم كابدي. إنكي نجيب يلم يا أجل وين ما وين جيت يوم وميزة البلا ما هو جوي. إنكي نجيب يلم يا أجل وين ما وين جيت يوم وميزة البلا ما هو جوي. إدار ولي جني ما وين وميزة البلا ما هو جوي. إبايا ولي جني ما وين وميزة البلا ما هو جوي. إدار ولي جني ما وين وميزة البلا ما هو جوي. بنجيري يدده أنا لو ما رميز البلا كيدي يدده أنا لو ما رميز البلا. إذا واليوم ورني إذا سابتيري إذا كان جماعة كل يوم بومن. إذا والكان كلامك بوما بتيري إذا كان جماعة كل يوم بومن. إذا واليوم ورني إذا سابتيري إذا كان جماعة كل يوم بومن. إذا مرجان وينور بوما بتيري إذا كان جماعة كل يوم بومن. Abanar gilbi banyak kupawe wasbelam dengai timu. Abanar gilbi banyak kupawe wasbelam dengai timu. Baikire yedede dalam long mar milas belam. Kidi de yedede dalam long mar milas belam. Baikire
Hello and welcome, dear viewers of Concerned Citizen of South Sudan Forum. We are live today, live broadcast today, Thursday, September 9, 2021, to shed the light on the ongoing political development in the country. In this episode, we shall focus on the heavy fighting that has occurred in Western Equatoria State, Tambora Town, on Monday, September 6, 2021, between the SSPDF and the SPLM-IO forces. A fighting which left 24 people dead, according to the press report. The total numbers of people killed in the ethnic violence alone since July 2021 has sadly risen to 170 people last week, with 15,000 displaced to the neighboring countries of the DRC Congo and Central African Republic since the beginning of the July. Legislators from Western Equatorial State have urged the government to constitute a fact-finding committee to investigate the root causes of the conflict in the state of Western Equatoria. The United Nations mission in South Sudan, UNAMIS, also called on the government to stop the ongoing fighting in Tambora immediately. We shall also look at the issues of the border closure between South Sudan and Uganda on the grounds of security concerns, thing which nearly paralyzed life in Juba. These are the consequences of government that depend on the neighboring countries in providing a basic daily needs. How can a country that manage in such a poor manner with no clear strategy? That's the question that we are asking tonight as well. Also, on our list of the political development is a statement of condemnation issued by the government of South Sudan against a military coup d'etat supported by the people of Guinea-Conakry, which happened on Sunday, September 5th, 2021, in Guinea-Conakry, where the military under the command of General Mohammadi Dembamboya has successfully deposed the 83-year-old president Alpha Conde. After amending the constitution to secure a third term in the presidency, a move which rejected by the people of Guinea. People flooded the street of the capital city, Conakry, shortly after the declaration made by General Mohammadi. As the new president, clear expression of joy, excitement, and declaration of their support to the actions taken by the new leader. The head of the state and the government in a meeting of Economic Committee of West African State, ECOWAS, which was held yesterday, Wednesday, September 8, 2021, have condemned the coup d'etat call for restoration of the constitutional order and suspend Guinea-Conakry from all her memberships in ECOWAS governing bodies with immediate effect. We shall also discuss in this show today the political remarks made by President in the swearing ceremony of the new acting General Secretary of the SPLM party, Peter Lamboth, yesterday, which is Wednesday, September 8, 2021, And also, finally, we shall critically look into internal political cracks in the government as the presidency look at the Director General of the Internal Security Bureau of the National Security Services, General Kolkur Kuch, which eyes on suspicious and mistrust in what could be seen as a serious matter that creating internal political crack within the government behind the scene. With that, I will invite you, please, to tune in and follow our discussion. Don't forget also to share our live video and also to subscribe our channel on YouTube, John Cormayol. So whenever we have anything new, you'll be able to be part of it. And with that, I will have on the program tonight Ustaz Dengdit Ayok and others. But my main guest here will be Ustaz Dengdit Ayok. These are the events that actually are taking place, and we shall discuss them in this live broadcast tonight, taking place here. And please go ahead, as I said, go ahead and share this live broadcast so we'll be able to interact together. Remember, as usually, always in the program, we agree to disagree. But keep in mind that we don't condone any insults whatsoever, derogatory languages, or any vicious attack on this humble program of concerned citizens of South Sudan. نرحب بكم مجددا في هذا البرنامج المتواضع concerned citizens of South Sudan الذي يأتيكم أسبوعيا، ولكن في بعض الأحيان يتطلب الوضع and to conduct extraordinary program here so we can shed the light on the things that are happening in our country. As you know, so many things that are happening. Fighting, as I said in my introduction, occurred in Tombra. People are dying in hundreds, and people are, leaving the country to go to the refuge, seeking, security, particularly in those countries that I have mentioned. The last 2 weeks, we have lost 170 people alone in Tombra, and in other part of the country, people are dying as well from this crisis that have been created by autocratic and authoritarian leader Salva Kiir Mayardit. Very interestingly, to see him that condemning actually the military coup that occurred in Guinea, Conakry, and people of Guinea actually are joyful for the change that is coming to their country, because they have suffered quite long time under the dictatorship of Alpha Conde, who is 83 years old. Imagine 83 years old. زول 83 سنة ولسه في الحكم، والشعب يعني جعان والشعب تعبان. So الشعب بيفرح بهذا الانقلاب العسكري اللي took place. ولكن like I said, we are going to shed a light, light on many things that are happening in our country. It is immediately closure of the border. وكده البورder كان قفلوه between Uganda and South Sudan. Almost the life was paralyzed in Juba, and people did not know what to do. With the results زي ما قلنا قبل، ده نتيجة بتاعت إن دولة ذات السيادة إنه يعتمد على دول أخرى، يعتمد على دول الجوار. وكلام ده قلناه مرارا كثير. يعني احنا كنا قاعدين نتكلم عن refinery إنه South Sudan it should have built a refinery. We know that there were war in the country, but there are some places that actually a war did not occur on it. But because they did not have any political will to do anything that actually even will benefit them, those who are in the government, it's like someone trying to hide, but actually his tail is still outside, which is very shame. Imagine Uganda closed its borders on South Sudan. وما كان في fuel في البلد بينتج بترول، وما قادر يكون فيها بترول، ما قادر يكون فيها فيول، ما قادر يكون فيها مواد غذائيه في البلد، ما قادر يكون فيها دواء. نعم الاشياء دي بتجي من برا زي الدواء وكده، لكن فيول يعني ما كان الاحرى انه مثلا جنوب السودان يكون عندها ريفاينري زمن دي كلها. لكن لا طبعا because they were looting they were busy looting the wealth of the nation. That's why actually they did not care, and they always think everything is going to be all right always like that. But that's not the way it is. You have to strategize. You must strategize if you wanted to succeed. That's how life is, and that's how it should be. But our brothers actually, they don't strategize. They just wanted to be there and be there to loot, and they think that the way is that. So with that, I will welcome my guest on the studio, Ustaz والكاتب الكبير دينجديت أيوك, Director of Political Mobilization with United Citizen for Change. Ustaz Dengdit Ayok, I welcome you to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. And I apologize. I know it's late for you, but I know you can handle this. This is a situation required sometimes, for us to do what is so important to do. So thank you so much, for staying late, and thank you for being always on the program and part of Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. So Ustaz Dengdit, one more time, I welcome you, and I would like actually give you a chance to make introductory remarks before we start, the discussion here. Ustaz Dengdit Ayok, go ahead and make that remarks before we proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, my dear brother John Kormayol, for welcoming me to this important show this morning, this evening, and this afternoon, according to our different time zones. Allow me to assure you that history is a witness, and that it is recording what you are doing through this magnificent forum in candid terms. I greet all the viewers of Concerned Citizens of South Sudan, forum back home in Torit, Wau, Kumbura, Yambio, Malakal, Awil, Bor, Boma, and those around the world whose hearts are connected back to the country on a daily basis, including yourself, Jonko.
Yep, of course.
So in this show, we are going to follow the African proverbs, or the African proverb which says, the hunter in pursuit of an elephant does not stop to throw stones at birds. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We are pursuing an elephant. The elephant is in Juba. We are the hunters. And so we would not stop to throw stones at birds. Those who are opposing what we say here are the birds. So let's move on with what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ustaz Dengdit Ayok, for coming on, and thank you for being always, in Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, enlightening our people with accurate facts and information and their rights as well. So, Ustaz Dengdit Ayok, if I may ask you questions, a serious heavy fighting happening in Tombora town on Monday, September 6, 2021, between SSPDF under the command of General Nado and the SPLM-IO, leaving 24 people dead. How do you look to this development, Ustaz Dengdit? I yell to you.
Thank you very much. The fighting which happened in Tombora town is indeed a serious one. Precious lives have been lost. Happiness is turned into sadness, mourning, anguish, and agony. Stability is turned into displacement. Peace is turned into hatred and discord between the sons of the communities in the area. And hope is turned into despair. Women are dead. Children are dead. Elders, dignitaries, and men of honest service are no more in the area. It is a sad fact. Houses have been burned. Houses have been put on fire and burned down to ashes in the area. And so the land is laid desolate and waste. And because of this, we say, cry, the beloved country of South Sudan. The country is bleeding, and the government officials are in Juba, dining in their hotel rooms, as if there is nothing happening in South Sudan at all. They are implementing peace agreement, because that's what they say. Their hearts never blame them for what is happening all over the country, because they are implementing peace agreement. Citizens are armed. and they are killing themselves in the rural South Sudan. And the leaders are in Juba implementing peace agreement. Tombra is severely bleeding as we talk here, and the leaders are in Juba implementing peace agreement. The people are dying in Rumbek, and the leaders are in Juba implementing peace agreement. Because this is the song they are singing these days.
Yes.
Violence is persistent in Unity State and Jonglei states, and the leaders are comfortably sleeping in their hotel rooms in Juba, implementing peace agreement. Citizens in Eastern Equatorial states are decrying the rise of prices of basic commodities in the market. And the leaders are in Juba implementing peace agreement. I am saying this, that they are implementing peace agreement because this is their song. This is the song they are singing nowadays.
Indeed.
So people are dying, they are implementing peace agreement. Prices are very high in the market, they are implementing peace agreement. People are being killed in Tombra town, they are implementing peace agreement. Insecurity is rampant all over the country, along Juba Numili roads. But the leaders are in Juba implementing peace agreement. This is the song they are singing these days. And this song has become so monotonous and it is meaningless, very meaningless indeed. Because how you claim that you are implementing peace agreement when people are fighting in Tumbra and killing one another? When there is bloodshed in Tumbra and you claim to be implementing peace agreement? Why don't we see peace that you are talking about in Tumbra? Why don't we see that peace in Rumbek? Why don't we see it all over the country? I am saying this, that they are implementing peace agreement so that our people understand that this song of peace implementation is a meaningless song. In fact, what is happening in Yambio is very sad. According to the reports, and this is a great contradiction, Jonkor. The press reports are talking about two forces fighting each other in Tombra. That is the SSPDF and another army that is called SPLA-IO. The SSPDF are fighting the SPLA-IO of Riek Machar in Tumbra under the command of General Nando. General Nando was a commander in the SPLA-IO forces, but he joined the SSPDF in March this year. And so he has a huge army there. He's commanding a big number of soldiers. And so the clashes are happening between his forces and the SSPDF forces. Imagine that the reports are talking about two troops, the government troops, which are known as SSPDF, and the SPLA-IO troops that belong to what used to be in opposition, or SPLM in opposition. Now, since last year, they form one government. So it is a contradiction. It is a big contradiction when you read the report that the SPLA and SSPDF are fighting, and they are forces under the same government. So you see, this is the paradox of the matter here. And I want South Sudanese to understand this. These two forces, they are apparently two, but actually they are one army, but they are fighting. They are the one causing insecurity in the area. They are the one killing people. Our heart condolences to the families of our people who have lost their dear ones in those senseless, in that senseless fighting. And we pray to God the Almighty to console them and give them courage to bear all this suffering until the bright day of justice comes. This is what I can say to the suffering families, to the suffering people in Tombora town. Now, what is happening is this. What is happening is that the government is trying to send a wrong message to the people that they are implementing the peace agreement. And there is no implementation of peace agreement actually, because at the same time they are fighting. The soldiers are fighting. This is the same thing that happened in Kitgwang recently. It is the same thing that is happening in Tumbura. It is the same thing that used to happen in Malakal, and it can happen anytime again in that town. It is the same thing that is happening in Tumbura. It is the same thing that happened in any other area of South Sudan. And so it is the government that is speaking with two tongues. It is speaking to the people with the tongue of peace. And again, it is speaking to the people with the tongue of war, violence, insecurity, killing of innocent citizens in Tumbura. This is what is happening. What is happening in Tumbura is something that is designed by this government. And our people need to understand this one. What is happening in Tumbura is designed by the government, and it is the government that is busy killing our people, because these two forces that are busy killing themselves and killing the citizens have the commanders. The commander-in-chief of the SSPDF is the president of the republic, and the commander-in-chief of the SPLA-IO is the first vice president. Now, these two men, if we are talking about the fact that they are the two commanders of these soldiers, they have failed to control those soldiers. They have lost the control over the soldiers, and that's why the soldiers are fighting and killing themselves. And as part of their policy of divide and conquer, or divide and rule, that's why they are creating war in Tumbura. And war happened several times now in Tumbura. It is started by the end of June and the beginning of July. Then it repeated itself again twice in July. It happened at the beginning of August. Now it is happening again. Or it happened again in the new month. It happened last Monday, which was the 6th of September, 2021. So it is the government that is designing this. It is a policy. And this one, for me, is an eye-opener. It is an eye-opener for our people to see that this government is the one killing people. It is this government that is killing you, our dear people. What is happening in Tumbura is something designed by this government. And so this is a very negative development which happened on Monday, last Monday. And it claimed the lives of 24, as you said. But I doubt that this number is only 24, because many people have died, including chiefs and dignitaries in the area, men of honest service, men who could live for the next 30 years to save their country, but they are killed. So what is happening in Tumbura must be very clear to our people, that it is the government that is fighting, it is the government that is fighting, creating this unnecessary war in order to keep people fighting themselves so that they don't pay attention to what they are doing in Juba. This is what is happening. And this is how it can be interpreted. This is how it can be analyzed. It is happening in so many parts of the country. So this is what I can say concerning what is happening in Tombora town. But we say to our people in Tombora that your suffering will come to an end. Your tears will come to an end. And you shall recover your life once again. Peace will come to the land again. Because this regime is writing its end, and its end is coming very soon. So this is what I can say to our suffering people in Tombora. I say to them that we share your pain. We see your suffering. Our hearts pours out in solidarity with you, and we are angered, and we are not happy at all for what is happening to you, because what is happening to you is cruel, and that is inhumane, and it should not happen. Sadly, it is the government that is supposed to protect you that is doing this, proving to you that it is an irresponsible government. It is a government that caused chaos everywhere in the country. It is a government that displays its own citizens to the neighboring countries. So this is what is happening in Tombora, dear viewers of concerned citizens of South Sudan.
Thank you, Sas Dengira Yog, for clarifying and elaborating to our people so they can understand exactly what's happening in Western Equatoria, particularly in the town of Tombora. Sas Dengit, the former Speaker of the National Legislative Assembly, Anthony Lino Makana, issued a statement in which he lamented the ongoing conflict in the area last month and called on the government to intervene to stop the fighting. Lawmakers from Western Equatoria State also called on the government to constitute a fact-finding committee to investigate the root causes of the fighting in the area, according to the press report. And the UNIMIS also called on the government to immediately stop the ongoing bloodshed in Tombora. Why the conflict seems to be taking long and can be stopped at any time soon, Ustaz Dengdi. Fadal. I hope you hear me, Ustaz Dengdi.
Yes, that is a very good question. You know, yes, my network is not stable. I hope you hear me also clearly.
Yeah, we hear you now. Go ahead.
Good. Yes, what is happening in Tombora is heartbreaking. And in fact, Lino Makana, the former Speaker of the National Legislative Assembly, issued that statement. The statement, in fact, was a lamentation. He was mourning for what for the life lost in Tombora. And now the lawmakers in Western Equatoria State are also asking the central government to form a committee to investigate this, as well as UNIMIS asking the government to stop this immediately. Now the question is, will the government stop this? The government will not stop this, because your question is why the conflict seems to be taking longer and it cannot be stopped anytime soon. The government is the one behind this. It is engineered by the government. It is designed by the government. And the purpose why the government is doing this is to keep the citizen engaged in fighting. The government is also doing this because the government is resisting any other army besides the SSPDF. I am saying this based on the recent development in which there were differences between the parties who signed the peace agreement when they were discussing the command, okay, when they were discussing the issue of one command for the unified forces. So they differed on the issue. And this one is a clear indication that the government under the president, or the other side, that the government, which is a signatory with the SPLM-IO, has no honorable intentions to implement the peace agreement, and that's why they are resisting the SPLA-IO forces, because they look at the SPLA-IO forces as rival forces. They look at them as unwanted forces because they have no honorable intention for the implementation of the agreement. So this is what is happening. Now, many voices have called on the government. You see Lino Makana, the lawmakers, and the UN, the United Nations missions in South Sudan.
UNAMIS.
And many other people, okay, including the chiefs from the area. They call on the government to intervene in order to stop this senseless fighting which is happening in the area. And the government, I think a month ago, formed a committee. A committee was actually formed. And the committee was formed to investigate the clashes that happened between the two communities in the area. So now there are two things. There was a communal fight between the two communities, and now it is the soldiers fighting themselves. There are two different events, but it is the same policy, because the source of this policy is one, which is the government. And so it is taking long to be stopped, because the government would like to ensure that the policy it has designed for the people in that area, which is war and killing, to ensure that this policy go ahead. That's why the conflict cannot stop very soon. It is a policy of divide and rule, because once these people are stable, they will create this. Another thing the government is talking about, the government look at that area as an area which is harboring rebels, and that the rebels are active, I mean, in that area. That's why the government cannot stop the conflict in the area anytime soon. So the government is satisfied. The government is actually happy with what is happening in the area, and that's why they would not intervene anytime soon to stop it. It is actually to their pleasure, and they are happy with it. That's why this conflict would not come to an end. Above all, it reflects that this government is a failed government. It is a government that is not for the people. It is a government that does not care about people. If people die, the government does not feel them. If they are suffering, the government does not feel them. If they are displaced to the neighboring countries, the government also does not feel them. So this is what is actually happening in Tumbura. And so those of Lino Makana and the lawmakers and the United Nations, they are making calling upon the government to stop the fighting, but this would not be stopped. How many times people have called on this government to stop fighting in Malakal, but it did not stop it, because it is this government that designed it. How many times people have called on the government to stop communal feuds in Lake States? It did not happen. How many times people have called on this same government to stop the communal feuds in Jonglei, in Unity State, and in other parts of the country? But it did not stop it. So the whole thing seems to be a policy designed by this government. People of South Sudan will not test peace until this government is removed, and a responsible government that will make security a priority is installed and functions for the service of the people of South Sudan and for the comfort of the people of South Sudan. So that is why it is taking longer. For these reasons, it is taking longer, Brother Jonkor, and those who are viewing the show.
Sir Dengi Ayok, thank you. Thank you so much. And we continue with that. In another development also, Sir Dengi Ayok, the border between South Sudan and Uganda was shut down in the last 2 weeks. And this nearly paralyzed life in Juba and the country as a large. What is your comment on this issue?
Well, South Sudan is a country that is being run without vision, without strategies in place to run the affairs of this country. Somebody may come in and tell me that South Sudan is a landlocked country, and that's why it depends on
the foreigners,
places like Kenya, in order to import fuel from Kenya, from Mombasa, or from Uganda. Uganda is also a landlocked country, and everybody is aware of this. What is happening is that the government of South Sudan have no plans in place to run the affairs. First of all, agriculture. There are no plans for agriculture, so that food is produced internally in South Sudan, yes, locally, and so that people have their food produced locally, and they will not be in need for importing food from abroad, from neighboring countries like Kenya or Uganda. But because we did not introduce agriculture, we don't produce food. When I talk about agriculture here, I mean the mechanized agriculture. Big agricultural schemes are supposed to be introduced, but this is not happening. What is happening is that people cultivate they cultivate, and the type of agriculture that they are practicing is what is called subsistence farming, a very traditional farming, and therefore food is not produced in abundance, and that's why the country depends on the neighboring countries in terms of importing food from Uganda or Kenya. We are importing everything, even oil, everything. Because, you know, South Sudan is a country that has no factories. We don't produce oil. We don't produce things. It is a country that has no factories. And so, when countries like Kenya and Uganda close the borders because of insecurity, and the drivers threatening not to come to South Sudan, and the government of Uganda also stepping in to say that they would like to deploy the UPDF, that is the Ugandan People's Defense Forces. They would like to deploy their army along normally
Juba Road,
Juba Highway, in order to make sure that the trucks coming from Uganda arrives Juba safely, because this one is an indication that they have lost trust in the government of South Sudan, because people have been killed along Juba Numili Highway several times, especially Ugandan drivers that drive their trucks from Kampala and other areas in Uganda all the way along to Juba in order to bring food to the people of South Sudan. As a result, they decided to block and close the border because of insecurity. And now there were negotiations between the government of South Sudan and the Ugandan drivers, and also the Ugandan authorities. And finally, they reached an agreement because South Sudan was suffering for the last 2 weeks. We have seen the fuel crisis. People, you see, people parked their cars and they were walking on foot all around you because there were no fuel. And the price of fuel rise to 500. 1 gallon was 500 or 5,000. I mean, yes.
If I may interject this, Ustaz Dengit, does
Yeah.
the government really has to blame that on South Sudan being a landlocked, or they fail miserably to strategize for the need of the country?
Yes, they have actually failed to strategize for the needs of the country. The fact that we are a landlocked country cannot allow the country to be in the condition it is in now, because there are so many landlocked countries in Africa. But because they have plans in place, they are now happy and they are doing everything. So this issue of South Sudan being a landlocked country is an excuse, and it is a lame excuse, I would say. Now, another thing you have seen after the visit of Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok 2 weeks ago to Juba, and the agreement reached between the government of South Sudan and the government of Sudan to open the common borders between South Sudan and Sudan. These borders were closed since the time of our independence, during al-Bashir time. Now the two governments have reached an understanding to open the borders. That's why Uganda is also doing this, because Uganda is manipulating South Sudan as a market for its goods.
Yes.
And it does not want to see any other competitor.
Yes.
Yes, in the market. So Sudan is seen by Ugandan as a competitor, and that's why they are doing this to the people of South Sudan, because they would like to monopolize South Sudan as their own markets. Kenyans are also doing the same thing, you see. But this one is not good from the side of our brothers, the Ugandans, because South Sudan is a market for the region, not only for Uganda and Kenya. It is in fact a market for the entire region. You see, Eritrean can bring their goods to South Sudan. Ethiopian can bring their goods. The Sudanese and the neighboring countries like Central Africa or Congo, they can bring their goods to South Sudan, and they can invest. They can sell their goods and product in South Sudan. As you all know, Egypt is also doing this. They take their products to South Sudan, and recently you have seen the exhibitions of Egyptian products in Juba under the Ministry of Investment. So these are some factors that are also contributing to the problem. But what I will say concerning this is that the government has no plans in place in order to run the Republic of South Sudan. South Sudan is an oil producing country.
Yes.
We are supposed to have our own refinery. Okay, we are supposed to produce fuel that can be consumed locally through our oil field in Upper Nile. There were plans. I remember earlier there was a plan to establish and open a refinery in a place called Tiangrial in Upper Nile, but it stopped. There was another plan. They were talking about it. I did not heard any government official talking about this, but the citizens, the people were talking about a plan for a refinery in Akon. But all these things are just per se, and they are not implemented. We want real plans that are a reality on the ground, so that the suffering of the people is alleviated. Now, when countries like Uganda and Kenya shut down their borders, the result is that cars are parked and the transport is stopped, and the result is suffering. No food in the market. The prices of fuel rises. That's the problem. Who is to blame? The government. And so you see, this government is a very weak government. Yes, so this is what I can say concerning the issue of border, the closure of border between South Sudan and Uganda. And this one is blackmailing also. I would like to say that it is a blackmailing from the side of our brothers in Kenya and in Uganda.
Well,
they are blackmailing us.
Yeah, thank
because
you.
They have seen that we have no plans in place.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I really agree with what Awenakot said before. He said that we are mentally incapacitated. When you are mentally incapacitated and you seem like not to have a plan, the others will manipulate. Because Kenyan and Ugandan, they have seen that actually happening in South Sudan. President Kiir is a man with no plan. He just wanted to be in power. He want to die in power. The only thing that he's concerned about is the power, to be in the power. It doesn't care there is agricultural projects, there is food in the market, there is a medicine or a school. These are not of concern. So the neighbors will see, yes, of course, that's an opportunity. I'm supplying you. And if there is anyone that wanted to compete, I may show you that, hey, I am the one actually, your source. I am the lifeline for you. And that's what they have done exactly. And they have done it very successfully. Why? Because since they won 2006, South Sudan is supposed to have a plan, supposed to sit down at the table and said, now we got what we need. And I ask this question all the time. After we gain independence, what should have happened? Get everybody on board. What can we do now? Let's talk about the program that we wanted to deliver to our people, how we can achieve them. We are a landlocked. Is that something new for them to know that we are a landlocked? They knew long time ago. Salva Kiir knew that South Sudan, one day it become a country, is going to be a landlocked country. He knew, Makwelu knew, all of them, they knew about it. But simply, they did not care. They care about their own interests. And that's what happened. You know, all of a sudden, now, yes, you wanted to open the border with Sudan because we want Sudan. You're going to see always Sudan has to be an enemy so they can grab whatever they wanted to grab from South Sudan. Because the leaders are mentally incapacitated. They don't think. They don't want to do anything. They are blindfolded with the money. They have money. They have the power. Khalas. That's the deal. You know. So I don't blame them, actually. I don't blame the Ugandans. I don't blame the Kenyans. You know. They have done what someone really, try to get what they can get. What are the source of income for Kenya? Just tourism. What else? We do have more, bigger economy if we really sit down and plan and strategize. South Sudan can be one of the best countries in Africa. And they know that, But do you think people are going to look at you and you growing and you producing and you are stable? No. When they just see your weak point, they will use it right away. And we told our brothers for a very long time, Ya Jama, don't do this. Don't do this. This is your country. These are your people. What we say here is not just, for sake of saying things, for sake of talking. And they call us all rubbish. They are making noise. But look now what's happening. That's the test, just simple thing. Look now what's happening. Is that not shame? You should call yourself shame on you. Shame on what you have done because you don't think. You don't think that this thing, it can turn around and it can be bad. You don't think that way. You are thinking about just walking on the red carpet and flying out and treating yourself in Germany or in South Africa in one of those advanced countries. But you don't think, what about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? Those friends, they turn their back, and say, hey, no, you are no longer, we don't want to deal with you anymore. What have you saved? What is your strategy? What is the alternative? What do you have? Do you have alternative for that? You don't. And now, in the few days when you want to think, oh, I wanted to do this, I didn't do this. Do you know what they're going to do? They say, okay, look what you're going to have done now. Well, they were dying. The driver, they were dying all this time. They knew. They knew, actually, there is insecurity in South Sudan. Insecurity everywhere, in Lagos State, in Jonglei, in Unity State, in Central Equatoria, in Western Equatoria, everywhere there is insecurity. Ugandan, they knew about this. They knew their insecurity, but they never stopped. They never stopped coming to South Sudan. They never, Kenyan, they never stopped. They never. But now they can use this because they were the manipulators. Yep. So you don't deal with anyone else, you have to deal with that. I hope those, who don't understand can learn from this. You learn from this. Those who don't understand, those who don't strategize, those who don't think about this country, how good it is, how great it is, can think about this. So I was saying that to South Dengi, Uganda and Kenya, I don't blame them. because they don't have any other sources. Not just they don't have other sources. If they can grab as much as they can grab, they can grab. GDP of Uganda now, you are talking about, 37, billion B. Before South Sudan even become like an independent, you are talking about 12 or 15 GDP. Now triple, the same thing to Kenya. So we are building other countries. We are not building our countries. So yeah, that's the lack of leadership. The weakness. When you are weak, when you are mentally incapacitated, that's what is going to happen. I hope the network will cooperate, Dengi Dayok, so we can continue here, because I have more questions to ask you. Dengi, do you hear me? It seems like it's not.
I hear you, but not very clear.
Okay, if that's the case, Dengi, I want to proceed, with the question here.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Question. Now, my next question is, in another development, the government condemned the September 5th coup up in Guinea-Conakry. So, by private forces under the command of General Mahamadi Doumbouya. In a statement read out by the former minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Kamisa Beatrice Wani, yesterday, and called for immediate release of former President Alpha Conde. Ustad Dengit, who is now under my question? Let me continue the question. Now, who is under arrest? The president, of course, under arrest, detention in the military. Now, if I may ask this question, what is your comment on this new development? President Kiir saying that the deposed president must be released immediately, and they condemning, the arrest of the former president of Guinea-Conakry. I wanted to get your intake on this. Go ahead, Ustad Dengit, if you hear me.
Yes, I hope you see me, because I think my phone has a problem. My picture is stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck. Go ahead. We
picture
hear
of
you.
your studio is stuck on the screen.
We hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Yeah. What I will say concerning this at the outset is that this government of South Sudan is exercising what we call political hypocrisy. This is a pure political hypocrisy, because they came out with a statement in which they condemn the coup d'etat that happened on last Sunday, in Guinea-Conakry, in the capital city Conakry, in which the Army General Mahamadi Doumbouya seized power and arrest the former president Alpha Conde. So the government came out with a statement through the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and the statement was actually read out on the television by the former minister. I have to say former minister.
Absolutely.
By the former minister, Madame Beatrice Wani, in which they condemn the coup d'etat and they call for the restoration of constitutional order. Of course, at the level of the African continent, the African Union, which is like a government of this continent, reach an understanding. That's a very good comment. They reach an understanding that power should be circulated through elections, or African countries should exercise democracy. That's what is agreed in the African Union. And so the government of South Sudan came out to condemn what happened in Guinea-Conakry, to express this. But the question is, if they are talking about democracy, or if they condemn what happened because it is not democracy, Are they democratic? They themselves? Is our president a Democrat? Is the ruling party a Democrat? Are they Democrats, those in the government of South Sudan? The answer will be no, they are not. And so if they are not, why are they condemning this? They are condemning this not because they would like to support the African Union policy of condemning coups and promoting democracy in the African continent. They are promoting this because tyrants, as my brother said, tyrants support each other
Yes.
to remain in power.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a mere political hypocrisy. South Sudan has never witnessed any elections since its independence in 2011 until now.
Mm-hmm.
1 full decade without any elections. They do extend the terms of the president through the parliament. They do extend the terms of the president through signing peace deals.
Yes.
Everybody is aware of this. And so this is the way they are maintaining themselves in power. So this condemnation is a mere political hypocrisy, and the people of South Sudan should not take it seriously. Another thing that I must say concerning this, the president of Guinea Conakry, Mr. Alpha Conde, was actually elected in 2 consecutive terms. He was elected into the office in 2 terms. And when the second terms expired, he amended the constitutions in order to ensure the 3rd term in the office. But the people rejected that one, the political parties and the people, the common man in that country refused. They rejected that political move in which the president amended the constitution in order to secure a 3rd term in the office. And so the government in Guinea Conakry, under the leadership of Alpha Conde, actually ignored the will of the people. It undermined the will of the people in that country. And so the will of the people must always be respected. And this is what happened. Now the government of South Sudan is a government that does not care about something called the will of the people. Although our constitution talk about the will of the people as one of the sources of legislation in the Republic of South Sudan. The will of the people also is a source of legislation in other countries. And so what Alpha Conde did was wrong. He was supposed to step down from power by handing power to another elected leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so General Mamadi Doumbouya, the new leader who seized power through that coup d'etat, and it is a coup that is backed and supported by the people, did the will of the people. He actually implemented the will of his own people. And so any condemnation by the government of South Sudan is meaningless, and it is a condemnation that is meant for promoting dictatorship and tyranny in other countries, as well as they are doing it in the Republic of South Sudan. So this is what I can say about this. This is a political hypocrisy, and the people of South Sudan should not take it seriously. Instead, the people of South Sudan have to condemn this government, this autocratic government. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth, indeed, for elaborating and answering that question. We're still continuing. President Salva Kiir warned that any resumption of violence will disrupt the transitional period and extend the term of the current government. This came yesterday in the swearing ceremony of the new acting Secretary General of the SPLM party, Peter Lamboth. He also called on the SPLM power-hungry politicians and others to wait for 2023 election to join the government. And I quote his exact words: If someone wants to fight you, just tell him we are implementing a revitalized peace agreement. Okay, and if we are left with a few months only, and we are left with a few months only, we will clock to 2023, we shall go for election. And there, no need to fight one another. Again, he said this, said the same in his speech. If we fight ourselves now, we will have to extend the transitional period, and the same people will remain in the office. This is not a solution. Now, Ustaz Dengid, my question is, why is the president, I should not even call him president, always talking about two things: war, peace? Why should South Sudan always be in the circle of war and suppose peace? How do you read this statement between the line? Ustaz Dengid? Ustaz Dengid, do you hear me? I lost Ustaz Dengid one more time, but I'm going to go ahead and bring him back. Ustaz Dengid, I apologize. It looked like the network dropped you out. I don't know if you understand my question or not, but I can repeat it again.
I got your question.
You got my question. Okay. So, Ustaz Dengid, I want you to help our viewers.
Yes.
Why? Why always? And why? Is it a threat? I can
All
ask
right.
also, is it a threat to the people of South Sudan if you don't let me stay in power? And then I'm going to extend, and I'm going to be here until I die. Is that a threat also? Go ahead, Ustaz Dengid.
In fact, the president was speaking during the swearing-in ceremony of Peter Lambert as the new acting SPLM Secretary General. That was on Wednesday. And in the speech he delivered, he talked about power. He was actually talking about power because it is apparent that he has realized that there are some SPLM members, SPLM that is just existing by name. He realized that there are some SPLM members who would like to be in the government. And that's why he talked about the elections. And not only that, he also talked about war in the words that you have just quoted. He said, if someone wants you to fight, he's not talking about war. If someone wants you to fight, tell him we are just implementing the revitalized peace agreement, and that we are left with only a few months, and that elections will be the only way forward. Now, he said again that if you want to be a president or this is really crazy.
It's so
he said, if we fight ourselves, he's now talking to the SPLM members, if we fight ourselves, we will have to extend the transitional period, and that the same people who are in the government now will continue to be in the government. So he's talking about a lot of things. He's talking about peace, implementation of peace agreement. He's talking about war. And at the same time, he's talking about election. Three things in one. And so these three things are mixed up in the same speech he delivered. Now, to answer your question, this one shows you the nature of the government that we have in South Sudan. Because this government only talks about these two things. They talk about war, and I want the viewers to pay attention that I'm mentioning war first. And then they talk about peace. What type of peace? It is a supposed peace. It is not a real peace. So this is the nature of the government that we have in the Republic of South Sudan. It is a government that believes in war for prolonging its stay in power. It is a government that does not believe in democracy through elections or freedom of speech and others. And so under this government, because this government is a government that maintains power through war, government that believes in militarism and in guns, that's why South Sudan is always in the circle of war and peace. They talk about war and then they talk about peace. People fight themselves, and in order for them to stop the fighting, they go sit down and they negotiate in order to bring what they call peace. So the nature of this government is what is keeping South Sudan in the circle of peace, the supposed peace, and the real war, a war that can break out at the same time. Now, this is one thing. Another thing, the president is actually talking about war. What does this mean? It means that this country could be taken to war at any time, because he's alluding to the fact that people can fight, and this government can cause a war at any time in order to do what? To extend the transitional period. You remember what happened in July 2016?
Yes.
When the fighting happened in the State House, and then Machar was dislodged from the city, and then Tabanding came in, and they extended the period, claiming that they are implementing the peace agreement, and at the same time, the parliament also extended his term. In order to tell the people that it is something legal, because the lawmakers have extended the term of the office of the president in power. And so, before the end of the transitional period, this transitional period, anything can happen, so that an extension of the transitional period happen, so that the same people continue to be in power, as he said. The same people continue to be in power, and then they dominate power. And so he was sending a message to the people that war could erupt at any time. Again, he was sending a message to the members of the SPLM who are power hungry, as you described them. They would like to be in the government. He was telling them, wait for the election. But the problem, does President Kiir live in any defeat through elections? Will he relinquish the position of president if he is defeated in democratic elections, which I don't think will happen under him in the Republic of South Sudan? And so this issue of talking about wait for the election if you want power is meant for fooling the public.
Yes.
This is a mere lie. Mr. President is actually lying. I must say it this way. He's actually lying. Yeah, this is a mere lie, and people of South Sudan should not believe him. Should not believe him. What people of South Sudan should understand is that Mr. President can take the country to war at any time, because he's now talking about war. Implementation of peace, because he talked about the peace implementation. There is no peace implementation. And I don't need to dwell on this very much, because the viewers are aware. Otherwise, we will talk about it later.
Yes.
The viewers are aware of what is happening. So, South Sudan is kept in the circle of war and the supposed peace, because the nature of this government is that it is a government that believes in maintaining power through war, not through ballot box. What I read in lines is that war could erupt at any time. What I read in lines is that the president is lying. What I read between the lines is that the president is trying to deceive the public, but the public is already aware, and therefore he would not succeed in his intention to deceive the public. What I read in the lines is that Mr. President is infected by the cancer of deceptive rhetoric and an anemia of concrete performance. This is what is happening. I have to be very clear. Thank you.
Absolutely, something, you know, and people of South Sudan need to know this because they have been patient for a very long time. And I said numerous times, it doesn't require you to be genius to understand if somebody is lying for you, whether this president or whether anyone else. We have seen more than enough, actually. Let me continue. I'm going to, you know,
yes,
to put my
go ahead, please.
Suggestion later. But I would say this. The president, again, said this statement on the same speech that the only solution we have now is to implement and complete the transition period. And then we can go for elections. If you want to be a president, a minister, or whatever position is in the government, you will be voted in by the people. This is so laughable, something. When I read that statement, he pretended like to be a very democratic guy, to be the guy that was elected by the people of South Sudan. That's how he pretended here. Now, the bigger question that we wanted to ask tonight, something, is the peace deal being implemented? One, will there be a free and fair and credible election in 2023? Two, will President Salva Kiir himself accept any defeat democratic election? These are the questions that we must ask. Peace agreement. The interim period will expire in 3 days. Today is 9th. It's already 10th in South Sudan. So left with 2 days. So peace agreement will expire next coming 2 days. So then I want you to walk our viewers through so people can understand.
Yes. Thank you very much. Now the president is saying the only solution we have now is to implement the peace agreement and complete the transitional period, then we go for elections. This is not true because the peace agreement itself is not being implemented. We said this several times, and I'm going to say it again. Look, this peace agreement, I think, is 4 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. I will check my agreement. I have it here. The peace agreement is 4 chapters. Chapter 1 is about governance. And as we talk here, the government is only in chapter 1.
Yes.
Yes, the government did not go to chapter 2. Chapter 1 is about governance, formation of the government. Chapter 2 is about permanent security arrangements. This permanent security arrangement was not implemented. And that's why those of General Simon Gadwisdwal and those of Johnson declined to come to Juba because they blame Machar for going to Juba without security arrangement in place first.
Yes.
So chapter 2 talk about permanent security arrangements, and this is not done. If you talk about the training of the soldiers or the unified forces, yes, the training centers were open. And then there were soldiers there being trained. Now they have deserted all the training centers. And Michael Makui was talking about this one. He said the IO forces would be graduated from the training centers with what? With their sticks. Because when the soldiers are being trained, they are given sticks, and those sticks are in forms of guns. They hold them like guns. So he was talking about them as, he was saying that they would graduate from the training centers with those sticks, which means they would not be given guns. And now there are no soldiers in the training centers. Do you call this one implementation of peace agreement? As we talk, chapter 1, the government is still in chapter 1. Leave alone chapter 2, which is about permanent security arrangement. In chapter 1, as we talk now, the IO nominee for the position of Deputy Minister of Interior is not appointed. Are you aware that it is Honorable Nyanagwek Maren? She's the one nominated for that position after Mabiur Garang declined to hold that position. But the government, the president, does not want to appoint this one, and the IO have been complaining. The members of the IO have been complaining about this. Their last complaint was last week. So we are all witness to this one. Now, chapter 3 is about special reconstruction programs. If you read chapter 3 of the agreement, it is about a special reconstruction program. If you go to chapter 4, it is about economic reforms and establishment of proper justice system. These are the main chapters.
Go ahead, Ustaz Dingit. Yeah, it seemed like the network actually knocked Ustaz Dingit out. I hope he can come back. We can resume the discussion. There's so many interesting points here we need to discuss. And sometimes, you know,
do we have...
Ustaz Dingit, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, my network. My network is not helping me. What I was saying is that the government is in chapter 1, which is about governance. And as we talk, there are so many problems in the issues of government. The governance structure is not complete, not implemented. And so there is no implementation. This song of implementing peace agreement, which is being sang by the government day and night, is not true. It is not true, and there is no implementation of the agreement. In fact, the agreement has collapsed. As we speak here, the agreement has collapsed.
Yeah,
Bashar has surrendered to Kir, and he is just there. Yes, he surrendered a long time ago, and he's just there under the orders of President Kir. President Kir can violate any article in the agreement, but he cannot dare to open his mouth. So this is the reality. There is no any implementation of peace agreement. And because there is no implementation, you have seen soldiers breaking away from Mashar. You have seen politicians, those of Hiner Odwar, breaking away from Mashar, and many others. It is because there is no implementation of peace agreement. Now, if there is an implementation of peace agreement, why Mashar is not allowed to travel? He is not allowed to travel to any country in the region or in the world. Why? Because he is detained in Juba. So this song of peace implementation is just a song. They are just singing it, but it is not a reality. And so I call on the government supporters who are saying, or who always say that the implementation of peace agreement is the way forward. I'm telling them that chapter 2 is not implemented, chapter 3 is not implemented, chapter 4 is not implemented. Read your agreement, read the agreement. You go back and read the agreement and see whether it is implemented. The president is just lying. He is just lying, telling the people that he is implementing the agreement. He is not, and he will never. This is the fact. Yes.
We were not, you know, I'm not a prophet, and we cannot predict exactly what's going to happen. But actually in 2018, we predicted, we said this is not genuine. Because it was done in a manner that Salva Kiir actually went to South Africa and talked, you know, and called Dr. Riek Machar in confinement, that actually let's go and sign peace deal, and you and I, we will make this thing happen and change the venue. I keep saying this to people so they can understand. You know, change the venue from Addis Ababa to Khartoum. When he was pressured, when Salva Kiir is about, you know, khalas, is gone. Economic sanction, a lot of sanction within the, you know, the government, arm embargo. But IO said, oh, okay, let's do it, because Dr. Machar was in confinement, and they were hoping that with the, emotional, and there is no emotion in politics, This is the guy that actually chased you away from J1 and almost killed everybody. This is the guy that actually said, oh, the agreement of Addis Ababa is not a Quran and it's not a Bible. This is the guy that don't believe in peace itself. This guy with the black hat doesn't believe. He believes in destruction. That's what he believes in. And I said this, for a very long time. Wallahi, Ustad, I knew this guy, Kir Mayar, from the toe to the head. That actually doesn't care. He does not care. And he continued. One of the occasions, he said, this country, it will make it like a bone.
Yes.
And if it's still a bone, and then it will just, mix it with the dirt, and then it will throw it. Even the dog will not even have appetite, to lick that bone. That's what Salva Kiir said. And Salva Kiir actually doing exactly. But Anna, sometimes, I feel confused. They don't see this. When
they see this,
they will wake up and see this.
They see this, except the supporters.
When the SPLM generals will see this, this guy is not taking us anywhere. He's taking us to hell. He already put us in hell. In a deep. He's borrowing money, he's taking money, because he knows he's not going to be there when this money are needed. South Sudanese are going to pay. Anyone coming after him is going to suffer to fix the system and puzzle, the broken fabric that he has broken already, and communal, violence that he has created and division that he has created. It's going to be hard. And our people, the leaders of SPLM, people with good heart, people who are there, they don't see this. It's really sad to start doing it. It's really sad.
Very sad. So, to the government supporters that always come here and tell us there is no implementation of peace agreement, this is our message to those elders. We know one of the elders always come here and tell us, that is Dr. Aldo Ajo. We respect him. He's a veteran politician. He's an elder. He's a senior citizen. And he has his contributions towards South Sudan since the time we were not born. We respect him for that. But coming here to tell us that the only way forward is the implementation of this agreement, we say the agreement is not being implemented, because there is no political will for its implementation. And so this song of peace implementation is just for saying that peace is being implemented, but there is no peace. And I started with this earlier at the beginning of the show. So this is what we can say. So don't tell me that we are implementing peace agreement. Don't come and tell me that wait for the elections. No, we will not wait for the election, because there will be no fair and free election in South Sudan.
With Kir Mayar? No.
Uprising is our message always. Yes, I will stop here, Jonko.
Okay, I'll continue. But you know what, Ustaz Dengit?
Yeah.
I still have a few questions to go.
Yes,
I'm going to bring the national dialogue. Actually, national dialogue did not take anything out. I have an opportunity, last couple of days to read it all. They did not take anything out. Everything that people of South Sudan have said is in there. I'm going to read a few to remind what Uncle Aldo Ajo did too with national dialogue. That, have you forgotten what people have said in Kwajok, in Wanjok, okay, in Wow, in Meridi, in Malakal? Have you forgotten what they have said? And it has been noted in there with a footnote. Okay, let me go ahead. Ustaz Dengit Ayok, in a move which cannot be described as a surprising because it happened repeatedly. The president appointed Mayik Ayi Deng last night as a minister of foreign affairs and international cooperation. What is this? Something. And what does President Kiir wanted to tell people of South Sudan? This is the guy that he was talking about, that the guy that constructed Bahr al-Ghazal Road that was washed away by the rain. Is he him? When I was talking to a colleague today, and she said, "Is that the Mayik? Is that him or somebody else?" And I said, "Yes, that's him." But I want to give you an opportunity with something to give us your perspective here. Go ahead.
This is of course a very fun story. It is not surprising, as you said, because it happened several times. You know, the government of South Sudan is a very strange government on earth, because the way it is running the affairs of the country is what makes it a weird government. It's a very weird government, you see, because you cannot
go ahead, Ustaz Dengit. Look like it's frozen. Hopefully we'll come back and we'll continue.
Potential scandal. I hope you are getting me.
Yeah, I'm getting you now.
Yes. Because you cannot relieve somebody from his position because you believe that he was involved into financial scandal with the Shandong high-speed company that was constructing the road from Juba to Bahr al-Ghazal. And then you relieve him and you talk. When Mayik was relieved from his position last year, the degree of his relief was read out on the national TV. And then a week later, the president talked in a meeting. He said, "I have relieved Mayik because he misused." That's what he said. "I have relieved Mayik because he was involved into financial scandal and he changed the company." He explained it himself, the president. Now, he appointed the same person again. He brought him back to power, appointing him as Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. This is not surprising because President Kiir did it several times. You are relieved today, tomorrow you are brought back. So what is he doing? President Kiir is recycling the garbage. You know, when you are recycling the garbage, it goes and come back. It goes and come back. This is what is happening exactly.
But at least so they did manage to interject this.
Under the leadership of President Kiir.
They did manage to interject this. When they recycle the garbage in Western world, in the United States, there is a benefit from that garbage. You know, it can be reused for some, you know, maybe to make papers or to make like a garbage bin, even something that can be beneficial. But the garbage that he's recycling in J1, they are not beneficial to the people of South Sudan. They are rather causing more garbage and more and more and more. Go ahead. You know.
Yes, I was about to come to this one because when you are recycling the garbage, you do that in hope to get benefits. But what President Kiir doing in the Republic of South Sudan is recycling the garbage without any benefits. And so this is very strange. You see, now this is insanity. I describe this one as what? I describe it as insanity. Why do I say this? I'm now quoting Albert Einstein. Because Albert Einstein defined insanity in his own word, and he said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so President Kiir is relieving ministers, reappointing them. So he's doing what? Doing the same thing over and over again. Expecting what? expecting different results. But this one is called insanity. So the government of South Sudan is exercising insanity, and this is something nobody can support. Bringing back someone who has been involved in a financial scandal is not something that people would receive with happiness. And today I read a lot of comments on social media, by the way. People were making jokes about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
People were saying, welcome back anyway. But we still remember our money that you misuse. There were a lot of comments today on social media. So the people are aware of what the president is doing. So there were rumors before the reappointment of Mayik. There were rumors earlier that he is coming as Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, rumors have become true today. Because in South Sudan, facts are released to the public in form of rumors. And if you ignore them, you would be surprised tomorrow that the rumors of yesterday have become a fact today.
Indeed.
So there were rumors going on around. And there are so many rumors also coming on the way. So, to answer your question, what does President Salva Kiir want to tell the public? President Salva Kiir is in mess and he is messing up the country. President Salva Kiir is telling the people of South Sudan and the world that the more you loot the money in the government, I will relieve you, put you back, then I will bring you back. That is the message he's sending to the people. Because there is no any government in the world that can do this, except the government of President Kiir. It's very sad that Mayik is back. It's really very sad. We don't have anything in our heart against him as a person, but we are against the process. What has been done is wrong, and it is unacceptable, and we condemn that one. That's why we talk always that this government must go. This government must be removed. So this is my comment on this development of the reappointment of Mayik.
Ustaz Dengid, before I ask you my next question, I would like to interject. We always talk about the loyalty. How President Kiir is not loyal to anyone. He's loyal to himself. He's loyal to the money. He's loyal to the power.
Yes.
That's where his loyalty is. Imagine this lady, Camila Beatrice, an appointee that actually came through Waniga, because of his relationship with Kiir, came through him. And Kiir was able to appoint her. But now, talking about the loyalty, and I've said this numerous times, Kiir is not loyal to anyone. He's loyal to himself. And he can do a business with you. But if you have a little disagreement, you are an enemy for life. Like what happened with Marhum Minaida, Edward Lino. Like what happened with Paul Malone. Like what happened to Kwal Manyang. Anyone that disagree with him in something, it doesn't matter if he was loyal yesterday, you are no longer a friend. Imagine what happened. Waniga, he worked hard for Beatrice to be appointed. But now, because Waniga last time made a statement and he said, why not allowing people to express? It is in the Constitution anyway. Let them protest. Let them tell us why are they protesting? President Kiir doesn't like that, by the way. Because
yes, he talked about freedom of expression.
Yes, President Kiir doesn't like that. President Kiir, if 100 people on the street, President Kiir will leave, will go away. Because he knows the power of protest. He knows the power of uprising. He doesn't want to hear about that. That's why last time he deployed the tanks and the army and all these things. Because he's scared to death that is going to lose power. So now, Khamisa Beatrice, she's a victim of issues of loyalty. Beatrice. She is Khamisa. She is a victim, that Waniga is no longer a loyal man to this guy, and now he has to punish Waniga. He has to punish him like this. You are no longer, I'm no longer, trusted you. I don't care. I would bring the guy that looted yesterday. Like you mentioned, Mayik was there. Mayik is the one that was releasing all the documents, Awraq Hakuma, always when he was, Minister of Presidential. He was doing all this thing. Is the guy that
President Kiir is telling the people of South Sudan that this government is a government of thieves, and therefore I'm bringing back one of the thieves that looted your money last time.
Exactly. He's the one that actually allowing President Company, ARC, African Resources Company, that owned by President Kiir, who is constructing the road, and he's taking care of that. Kiir care about his money, care about the money of South Sudan to go to his bank account. That's what he's care about. These are the people that he can keep. It will not keep someone that will have disagreement like Nial Deng saying that why the money here is in J1, why the money are not deposited to the central bank. You go away. We don't want you. I must say this though, I must agree with a lot of people when people say that, oh, he's confused, or actually he's doing this to expect different result. No, Salva Kiir actually is not expecting different result. He knows what the result he expected. Salva Kiir actually is doing this actually to the people of South Sudan, whether they like it or not. He said that I will do it. More you disagree with me, more you don't like what I do. Despite the fact that everything that he's doing is bad for the people of South Sudan, he said, I will do it. Yani biyatahadda shab. That's what he does exactly. That's what he does exactly. Something that you don't want, I will do it. You like it, you don't like it, go to hell. Salva Kiir actually feel like he's a liberator of this country, and he's entitled to rule until he dies. If you don't like it, this country, we will mess it up. If I am not allowed to rule until I died, this country will mess it up. My way or highway. And that's why he's behaving this way. It's not because he does not know anything or he's confused. He knew since day one. He knows actually what he's doing. And he will continue to do that until our people, wake up. As they say in Africa, until the lion learn how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. He's the hunter. Until we wake up and talk, we no longer like you. We must depose you. People of South Sudan have to wake up and say, no, enough is enough. No, every story would glorify you. Kir Maya Baba Betana. You remember Waniga used to do that? All this nonsense and retarded, thing that he used to say. Salva Kiir, Abu Betana. Do you remember all this thing? Now look what happened.
Yes.
It's no longer.
Baba Jalele.
Yes, Baba Jalele. What I don't know how to describe it when I start thinking. Sometimes I feel so bad for having Kiir is the president of South Sudan. South Sudan. These people of South Sudan, the great people of South Sudan. العالم بيقتنع بينا. شعب جنوب السودان. Let me continue here. Something that
you are right. You are right, my brother John Cole. And I agree with you in quoting the African proverb, which says, until lions have their own historians, the stories of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. That's what is happening.
Every story will glorify the hunter, and he's the hunt. He's hunting in our land. He's hunting our country. He's hunting everything. He's doing it.
PLO, remember, said it that South Sudan is a hunting ground.
Yes, it's hunting field, hunting ground. But people are quiet. The lions are quiet, but the lions should not be quiet. The lions should say, no, it's not enough. You hunted my children. You stole my children. You did this and you did this. People of South Sudan should wake up. You, the lion. The lion.
Yes, that's right.
Truly African. Truly African. You cannot keep quiet and all the story will glorify this man with the black hat, looter. You cannot allow that to happen to you. Uprising is the only choice for the people of South Sudan. Ustaz Dengid, I want to ask you my last question here. And that question actually, there are internal political cracks in the government nowadays. the presidency is looking at Director General of Internal Security Bureau of National Security Services, General Akol Korkuch, with eyes on suspicion and mistrust in what could be seen as a serious matter that is creating internal political cracks within the government. What is behind the scenes, Ustaz Dengdi?
Thank you very much, Brother Jonkor. We tell our people that you are not to be blind with patriotism so that you can face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or says it. These are not my words, they are words of Malcolm X. Yes. So this is part of the message that we are sending to the public, that wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or says it. Now, coming back to the questions. In fact, there are internal political cracks within the government of South Sudan, especially these days. Because the presidency is looking at the Director General of the Internal Security Bureau of the National Security Service, General Akol Korkuch, with eyes of suspicion and mistrust. This one tells you that there are cracks in the government. And when cracks happen on earth, it means that the earth is going to split.
Yes. It's going to
so
open.
There are cracks. Yes. So there are cracks in the government, and cracks are tantamount to, they are a tantamount, yes, yes. to the coming split or a schism in the same organization or in the same government. Now, what is happening? And this is what our people need to pay attention to. What is happening is that General Akol Korkuch and his group are working in the government. They are working hard, and there are rumors circulating as we speak here. And remember that I said from the beginning that in South Sudan, facts are released in form of rumors.
Yes.
And if you ignore them, you would be surprised in 3 days later, or 1 week, 2 weeks later, that what was circulated in form of rumors is now the reality on the ground. So there are rumors going now, and the rumors have it that General Akol Korkuch is planning with his inner circle. According to the rumor, the presidential security on the presidential advisor on security affairs is involved into that. They look at it as a conspiracy, that there is a conspiracy championed by Akol Korkuch and Tut Galwak to dethrone the president. And that this one is now creating mistrust between J1 and the Blue House. 3 days ago, there were rumors that General Akol Korkuch held a meeting somewhere in a secret place with one of the army general who is in charge of the presidential guards. And that the agenda of the meeting was...
Yes, I got the information about that too.
Yes, and that the agenda of the meeting was to plan and coordinate on how to dethrone the president and take power from him, remove him. And that this one is being done through the national security boss, General Akol Korkuch. Now, in any government, when there are rumors such as this one, they are not taken lightly. They are taken seriously.
Seriously, yes.
When there are such rumors, they are not ignored. They are taken with seriousness. And so, these things are happening in the government. And Akol, of course, is powerful. Akol is very powerful because he has all the forces of the national security under him. He has planted people in different states that are loyal to him. They are working under him as national security officers. Some of them are security directors in the state. Some of them are junior officers. Some of them, they are in different parts of the country. And so Akol feels with his group that they can take power anytime from President Kiir. So this is the rumor which is circulating in the city nowadays. It could be true and it could be false, but it could be false by the ratio of 90%. Because remember, I told you that South Sudan is a very dangerous place where facts are released in form of rumors. And later on, you will be surprised that the yesterday rumors are now the reality of today. This is the facts, or this is the nature of things in South Sudan. And so these rumors, which reflect what we call conspiracy theory, are now being circulated. They are going. People are talking about this. And so this one has created suspicions. It has created mistrust. It has created panic in J1. And that's why Muindid is looking at a Kolkor with his two eyes out. And those eyes are eyes of suspicion and mistrust.
Someone was telling me he's looking like a book. You know, book snake, the very poison one.
Yes. Yes. So the president is now like what? It is like the snake. When the snake is ready to attack, it raises up its neck like this, and it is ready to bite. So this is what is happening exactly in the government. So there are cracks, and later on, these cracks could develop into what? A complete or a full schism and division within the government. This is what is happening. So there is a plan underway, ladies and gentlemen, to change the government internally. But this one is not going to be acceptable. If it happened, it is not going to be acceptable to the people of South Sudan, because this national security is an institution that has committed gross human rights violations and abuses against the people of South Sudan. Many people have been killed by this national security. Professional thinkers have been killed. Those of Isaiah Abraham, those of Dong Samuel. You know Dong Samuel Lua.
Yes.
Was a lawyer and a human rights activist. He was killed by this national security. Those of Agri Idri. Agri was actually a member of trade union in Juba before he joined the SPLM-IO in 2014, and he was a member of the SPLM before the split of the SPLM. So he's one of the professionals that was helping and boosting the economy of our country, but they kill him. You know, many people have been killed by this national security. So if a Kolkor succeed in his plan to dethrone the president, the people of South Sudan are not ready to welcome him, and he would not be accepted whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Instead, there would be an uprising against him, as we are now calling for uprising against the president, and this is going to be realized. So, as you said, that this could be seen as a serious matter that is creating internal political crack within the government. Yes, in fact, it is. It is creating serious political cracks within the government, and the government could be divided at any time. And if this plan did not succeed, mark my word, you will see a Kolkor being released very soon.
You know, something.
And there are signs of mistrust. There are signs of mistrust. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interject this, but I have been monitoring the situation too. When a call went to South Africa 2 weeks ago, and Kiir was in Addis Ababa, a call wanted to come from Nairobi to Juba, but President Kiir phoned him and he said, no, I don't want you to go to Juba. I want you to come to Addis. And then a call went to Addis, and he asked a question. He asked him a question. You know, very tough question there in that conversation. Also, Kir felt annoyed what happening because they knew what happening. And they were having a beer at home. You know, on that meeting, there are some, you know, military, I don't want to mention them. This is the truth. Something happened. And actually, Kir was really anxious and he was not happy. And he threw the bottle of beer and cracked on the ceramic down to blood. And then just break, you know, pieces. And he said, do you guys see that? He said to him, do you guys see that? They say, yes. He said, this country can be like that. I can make it like that. He threat. He said, I suffer in this country. That
was the same thing he said to Pagana Amum.
Yes, that actually linked with what I said from the beginning. That actually, Kir said, my way or highway. And people can say, oh, this is just a noising, you know, of social media. Our people need to understand this. This is what this man wanted to do. By the way, there is a lot of secret meeting they do. We have a clue about all these meetings. People need to understand this. We have clue of all these meetings. Thing that I say there in J1, we know about them. So I don't want to go details. Go ahead, Ustaz Dengit.
Yeah, so there are signs of mistrust. And this is one of them, which you have just narrated to our viewers. One of these signs of mistrust is that the president is now promoting some elements within the government as a sign of mistrust towards a Akolkor. You will now remember that the executive director in his office was promoted last week. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
What does this mean? This one means that the president
preparing the ground.
Trusts him, and he can use him anytime. A call can be knocked down anytime, and this guy can take over because this guy is very loyal to the president. That's why he was promoted. And I think people have seen the pictures. The pictures are on the Facebook page of the presidency. And by the way, I was surprised to know that this guy has a military background. I was looking at him as a civilian, but I was surprised seeing him being promoted. So it means that President Kiir would like to change guards. That's why he promoted the executive director in his office, which means he can replace a Kolkor at any time because there is a growing mistrust between the president and the Director General of the Internal Security Bureau of the National Security Service. So these are some signs.
But Ustaz Dengiliba, I asked this question.
Yes.
What a Kolkor thing. He has been killing people of South Sudan for how many years? For the last 16 years. I don't know. Where this guy come from? What does he think? He think people of South Sudan are dumb? They are going to accept him? Does that make him different than Kiir? They are the same face of the coin. What he is talking about here? Who does he try to fool?
He was actually killing the people of South Sudan, implementing the orders given to him by the president. So all these people, all this blood he has been shedding all this period since he became a Director General of the National Security, does not concern him. What he wants to do, he wants to impose himself. He wants to impose himself as a leader on South Sudanese. And South Sudanese are not going to allow this to happen. This is what I can say. They don't care, my friends, because they don't have human hearts. They have different hearts. All they think about is power, and they can get power by all means. Whether by hawk or crocs, they are determined to get it. So this is what I can say regarding this one. So these are signs of the growing mistrust.
Yes.
The gap is widening as we speak here between the Director of National Security and the President and some elements within the government. And so in the coming days, you will see a lot of changes happening. This is the same scenario that happened when Nial was a minister in the office of the president. There was a conspiracy against Nial, and we read out a security report in this show, and we said that Nial Deng is going to be a victim, and it happened. This is the same thing that is now going to happen. Akolkor is likely to become a victim of these conspiracies, of these cracks that are already created in the government.
I don't think so.
On what you said, President Kiir threw down a bottle of beer, and then the bottle broke into pieces, and then he told the people, look, this is how I will leave this country. Exactly, that's what he told Pagana Amu. Peter Adwognyaba wrote in his new book that President Kiir sometimes back told Pagana Amu that this country you would like to rule, I will break it into pieces and leave it to you that you will not be able to fix it. Because he wants to stay in power until he dies.
Yes, that's his plan.
He does not want to allow anyone to come after him. He wants anyone to come after him after he dies. Recently, he said it in the SPLM political bureau meeting. He said, comrades of the SPLM, people are calling on me to leave power. But I must tell you that I will leave this SPLM power the similar way Dr. John Garang left it. These are his words. They are not my words. So he would like to die in power. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are cracks. الحكومة متصدع. الحكومة متصدعة من الداخل لأنه في مؤامرات هم بيظنوا إنه أكولكور بيقود داخل الحكومة، ووصلتنا المعلومات إنه أكولكور بيعقد اجتماعات سرية، وفي إشارات بتاعت تنامي لعدم الثقة بين الاثنين، وبالتالي يعني الحكومة متصدع من الداخل، وفي النظرية بتاعت إنه يغيروا الرئيس من خلال أي انقلاب عسكري ممكن يتم في الداخل، وده انقلاب ممكن يقوده الدايركتور جنرال بتاع الأمن الوطني، وبالتالي في تنامي بتاع عدم ثقة بين الرئيس والمدير بتاع الأمن بتاعه، والترغية بتاع المدير التنفيذي في مكتب الرئيس لرتبة عسكرية كبيرة قبل 3 يوم، ده الدليل على إنه الرئيس بيوضع فوق الثقة أكثر، وممكن يكون البديل القادم لمنه للجنرال كونكور. والجنرال كونكور ممكن يخش سجن على فكرة، لأنه زول شغل إدارة بتاعت الأمن القومي لفترة طويل، ممكن يعني ما ممكن يعني يعملوه ريليف ويخلوه يمشي سايد كده. كويس. كلكم عارفين قصة بتاع عمر سليمان، كلكم عارفين قصة بتاعت صلاح جوش، كلكم عارفين القصص دي وقصص تانية. So ده الحاجة اللي احنا بنتكلم فوقه هنا، ولازم يبقى واضح شديد للناس. So this is what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. So I will stop here, and these are very important developments that are happening in the government, and the people have a right to know it. Yes, go ahead.
Ustad, indeed, before I asked you to send your last message, National Dialogue made it clear on page 26 and also on page 28. And that actually in response to Uncle Aldo Ajon Dengakwe, because they keep talking about the peace agreement and peace agreement. And peace agreement, they mention it, that has fluid, it's failing, and it's not being implemented, and nothing is working out of it. And people of South Sudan from 79 counties out of 3 only counties, out of 3 counties that they did not visit, which is Raja, Penyar, and then Akobo. They spoke loud and clear. And I wanted to read this. He's going to watch this live video. He's going to watch it later when he wake up. I know he follow us. What they have wrote here and what people have said. this paragraph on 26, the people of South Sudan throughout all the phases of the national dialogue are deeply aware of this political deadlock, which has dogged this country for a long time, must be addressed with a sense of urgency. In a virtually all the grassroots consultation, people express their demand that both President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar must leave politics if South Sudan is to ever move forward. You see, this is what they have said.
Yes.
And it's very clear what they have said. And also, when it comes to the issue of the election, they made it clear here. They made it clear when you go to 27, sorry. They said, we also believe that the success of any election in South Sudan will hinge on the non-participation of President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar. No transition arrangement in which President Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar take a part together will succeed.
Yes.
They mention it. They must leave politics. And if there is any election, even though if they continue with the transition period, and if there is any election, it will not be fair. It will not succeed. Because I know they continue to say here, we believe that most patriotic thing to do is for them to prepare for their exit from politics with honor and dignity and legacy.
Yes.
They mention all this. And then I don't understand sometimes when Uncle Aldo then come here and say that, oh, peace agreement is the only solution. And by the way, this is the final one. Do you remember when they said that what we have is fake? Do you remember when they say that? This is the final one, the one that they title it different. The one that they title it, let me read it here. The Republic of South Sudan.
This one means, Jonkor, that Dr. Aldo Ajo is supporting President Kiir, because what he's saying is actually what the president is saying. You remember that he's a member of JCE.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to mention the title here, The Republic of South Sudan, Office of Co-Chair, National Dialogue, covering note of the National Dialogue. Do you remember when he was arguing with me on this show when he said that, no, what you have is not true. And this is the title that we have. And he said this title on my show, on Concerned Citizen of South Sudan here. So I don't understand. National dialogue that was initiated by the president said president must step aside because he has failed the country. The simple question that we're asked with 3W, what went wrong? With 3W, what went wrong in the country? And people, you know, they were generous and they were, you know, with the moral courage answering the question. The leadership, president, you know, SPLM, the looting, and therefore president have to exit so we can start a new life. It is so clear. But President Kiir, I need, you know, so arrogant, very arrogant. He doesn't want to listen to the people. He's harming people so bad, and he knows that he's harming them so bad, but he does not want to listen. You know, he does not want to listen. He just want to mess it up until the last minute. That's why people of South Sudan must understand this, and they must rise up now. We cannot afford any another day, any another month, any another year for President Kiir to stay in J1, okay, and start engineering the communal conflicts and fight among people of South Sudan. Ustaz Dengit, please, your last message.
Yes, in the end, I would like to say to those who see us as a Will, Gogrial, Aliab, Ruweng, or Toin, or because they see us as Dinka, we say to them that we are sons and daughters of South Sudan. Our subject here is always South Sudan. We are talking because things are not fine in our land. To those who tell us, stop speaking on social media because they think that somebody is using us, we say to them, we are independent thinkers before we come here to talk on social media. We love our land and we want to see justice, liberty, and prosperity a reality in South Sudan. We are determined in what we are doing. Our quest for political change in South Sudan shall not be changed or shaken by anything or sold out. To those who tell us that uprising is not the way forward and that the implementations of the revitalized peace is the way forward and that the elections is the way forward and that giving peace a chance is the way forward, we say this: the parties to the revitalized peace agreement lacks the political will and they lack audacity for the implementation of this peace agreement, especially the President of the Republic. The peace deal has collapsed and talking about its implementation is only a time-buying policy for fooling and deceiving South Sudanese, the region, and the world. But the people of South Sudan are wise enough, they cannot be deceived. And Bob Marley said it clearly: you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So peaceful uprising by the citizens remain the only choice for the people of South Sudan. And the call for change started long time ago in South Sudan. The moment delegates were sent to different states of South Sudan in 2013 to go and make assessment of the SPLM performance among the people, what was the result?
Yeah.
The result was that SPLM has lost the vision and direction. So that was the beginning for change in the Republic of South Sudan. In other words, the people of South Sudan were saying that SPLM is in power for the sake of staying in power, and it is not there for any vision, with a vision, and there is no mission. So it means SPLM was just there in power for the sake of being in power. So that is number one. So this call for change started a long time ago. South Sudanese are fed up with the current regime. And the South Sudanese in the 10 states clearly said that the SPLM has lost visions and mission in 2013. Isaiah Abraham was the first South Sudanese to tell the president, Mr. President, step down. In other words, he was telling him that you are not capable of running our affairs, and therefore you better go home, Mr. President, and they kill him. That was the beginning of call for change. So you can see when we say here that change is a process, now I'm giving you this background so that you understand. The people said SPLM has lost vision and mission. In the 10th state, Isaiah Abraham told the president to step down because you are not there for the people. They silent him. Then Atwaimawir, who was the chairperson of Civil Society Organization Alliance, has been vocal about the rampant corruption in the government. He has been outspoken about the war in South Sudan. And they attempted to kill him twice. The first time was in 2012 when he was tortured and thrown away somewhere along the way to Bor. And then again in 2018 in 2015 when they shot him in South Sudan hotel.
Yeah, in his lake.
And then, so this was the beginning of what? Revolution. And then came the idea of generational exit by Peter Biara Jack. Peter Biara Jack came with the idea of generational exit, and it was an idea introducing change within the SPLM context or philosophy. Because you hosted him here in the show, and he said,
I did.
I was talking about this because they were telling us when we were young that it is you who will run the affairs of the country. So you see how many attempts have been made now. South Sudanese said it from all the 10 states. Deng Athwai said it. Isaiah Abraham said it. Peter Biar also came in with the idea of generational exit. And in July 2020, the UCC have been saying it that the only way forward is the peaceful protest that people have.
Red Card Movement also said it on 2019.
Yes, Red Card Movement came in 2019. So you see the process of change, and then the UCC came in July 2013, and we have been preaching this year. This year it was the PCCA, the People's Coalition for Civil Action, which determined the 30th of August 2021 as a National Awakening Day. So this is the message we are still repeating here. In the end of this show, this is the message. Popular uprising is the only way that will change this regime. And I'm very happy. Today I was reading in the news on Sudan Tribune. I found Lamakol. Lamakol was saying the same thing I'm saying here. People can go to Sudan Tribune. You will get his statement. He said, it is the citizens that can remove the dictatorial regime. So you see, we are all on the safe side. So dear people of South Sudan, popular uprising is the way that will save the country from the current autocratic and tyrannical regime. This government is not for us. It is not working for our interests. They are just there to maintain themselves in power and continue to be in power until God called them. This is what is happening. And so popular uprising is the only way forward. And you will see this. We are working day and night, and this will happen. So together, let us stand together and remove this regime. It can be done. It is possible. Many people have done it. And we are calling for popular uprising, not because we want to imitate what others did, as the president said. We are calling for popular uprising because there is a need for change in the country, not because we would like to imitate what others did. We are also a people. We deserve the best. If we are oppressed, if we are silent when we speak, if there are no services, if there is a political deadlock in the country, as said by the National Dialogue, then it is us to break the silence. It is the people now to rise up. It is the people to break their silence. This government must go, and it will go. And the people will prevail. This is our message. Thank you very much. I will stop here.
Sir Dengida York, it's always good to have you. Thank you so much for staying late until the moment to educate and help our people understand their right and send this wonderful message. So phenomenal. Thank you so much, and try.
My pleasure. See you.
Thank you so much, Sir Dengid. With that, I would like to say thank you for watching. Those who watch and just stay awake back home and here in the West. Thank you for being part of Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. It is the time, it is the moment that to remove the arrogant, the dictator, autocratic president, Kir Mayar, who was fighting for 38 years, but yet did not acknowledge what he was fighting for, who betrayed the value that he was fighting for, justice, liberty, and prosperity. And he started looting and forgotten the right of the people of South Sudan. People of South Sudan who contributed to liberation struggle. with their chickens and goats and, sesame and dura and whatever you name it, with their sons, so we can liberate ourselves and live as a people of decency, people that enjoy the fruit of this liberation struggle. But unfortunately, President Kiir has took different route, and that's why we must liberate our mind and liberate ourselves from this dictatorial regime. It is your time, and I know people of South Sudan will do it. The only change that we believe in, uprising, is the only thing that can remove this dictator. Because I have already explained to you, he has been using political deception for 16 years. Go to Arusha, go to Addis Ababa, pray, go to Rome, kiss his hand, go to Addis, go to Juba, go to Khartoum and sign this deal. All sort of political deceptions. But nothing has worked because it was not meant to be true. It was not meant to be implemented. It was from the tactical point. And you have seen it. You don't need to be genius. You can acknowledge it. You can know exactly what is wrong and what is right. It's for your future, your children's future, and your children's future. That's what we are calling for. That's why we need this change. So South Sudan can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So go and spread the message. Go and spread the message. Talk to your cousin. Talk to your uncle. But at the end of the day, we will break through. People of South Sudan have faith, and they are stronger when they are together. And I know we will go it, and we will do it. And South Sudan will see the light at the end of the tunnel. Uprising, Kiir must go, and he will go, and we cannot afford another 1 year for Kiir. We cannot afford another 2 years of autocratic, dictatorial leader who does not believe in anyone, believe in himself, who is not loyal to anyone, loyal to himself, who is not loyal to the country, who is not loyal to anything. So it is our call, it is your call. So thank you so much for watching. On Saturday, I will not conduct any live broadcast because I'll be traveling, going to my cousin's wedding. Actually, we are so fortunate. My cousin is married, is getting married to a girl from Western Equatoria, from Azande. So I will go there and we will celebrate. But we are so sad for what has happened in Yambio, in Chambra. But the time will come and people of South Sudan will do this together. And we will be healed at the end of the day. So thank you so much for watching. I want to leave you with Habib Muhammad Wardi. Asba Sob'o was Sijnu Wala Sajjan. Thank you so much. Have a lovely night.
كلمات محمد البيتوري شاعر عظيم أبدا ما أنت يا سوداننا يوما علي الذي أصبح شمسا بناء عاطرا تعدو به الريح فتختال الهويد يا بلادي من كل قلب يا بلادي من كل قلب يا بلادي من قلب يا بلادي أصبح الصبح على السجن على السجن على السجان بان أصبح الصبح على السجن على السجن على السجان بان وإذا الفجر جناحان يرفان عليه والذي شد وثاق الوثاق والذي بعثرنا في كل وادي فرحة نابعة من كل قلب يا بلادي من كل قلب يا بلادي من كل قلب يا بلادي أصبح الصبح وها نحن مع النور التقينا أصبح الصبح وها نحن مع النور التقينا التقى جيل البطولات بجيل التضحيات التقى جيل البطولات بجيل التضحيات التقى كل شهيد سهر الظلم ومات بشهيد لم يزل يبذر في الأرض بذور الذكريات أبدا ما هنت يا سوداننا يوما علينا بالذي أصبح شمس غناء عاطرا تعدو بالريح فتقتال الهوين كل قلب يا بلادي كل قلب يا بلادي كل قلب يا أصبح الصبح ولا السن ولا السجار بان